at the time Keely did what he did, there was no classical physics, there was no quantum world, there was no quantum entities, there was no electron, there's no proton, no neutron, no quarks, no any idea whatsoever that any of that stuff even existed. The closest thing to that was what they called the ether. And the ether was a substance that was finer than material substance. Ether existed beyond the physical. So we could measure atoms and mass and bricks and stones, but we couldn't measure the ether. Did not preclude that it wasn't there. So he was splitting the atom in the 1880s. He was doing acoustic levitation in the 1880s. He was developing various kinds of plasma for various purposes in the 1880s. He probably, maybe even before that. Even before that, he was doing the plasma thing. So in 1893, give or take a year, I think it was Rutherford who first labeled the electron or discovered the electron or assigned the value to an electron. This was, 10, 15 years after Keely was working with particles smaller than the electron. The bogus Millikan experiment trying to measure ether, which is totally interpreted wrong. I cannot believe academia does that. Anyhow, they took that and said that was the excuse to get rid of these higher forces. The powers that be did not want humanity to have access to what Keely had access to. They had monopolized electricity and power industries and the chemistry industries and everything else by that time, and they didn't want anybody messing with it. So they adapted the materialistic atomic theory, atomic model, and that progressed, and even against all of that force to keep it under wraps and locked down, the people started coming up with these quantum ideas, Bohr and Einstein and all these guys, and they said, wait, there's more here. So they slowly began developing quantum theory. In the 20s, they started talking about atomic energy being possible. They knew how much energy was there, and it took the war to actually bring that out. And so after 50, 100 years of scientific development, we can look back at Keely's work and we say he was working with the quantum elements, the quantum entities, the nuclear power and the atomic power, and he was releasing all that stuff in the 1880s, because now we can look back, because we as a society, we as a scientific society, say, oh yeah, I know what that stuff is, but we didn't know what it was until now, which is why Keely's work laid there for over 100 years, because nobody knew any of the science. His science he called sympathetic vibratory physics. It's the same thing as saying quantum entanglement physics, because that's exactly what it is. Only it's a lot further developed than the quantum entanglement physics we have today. They're just getting started with it. But once they get going, it will progress as fast as people let go of the old paradigms. So that's what hindsight is. It's today we got enough knowledge to look back and say, okay, that's what he was working with. Now we know. Okay, so now we know that. Let's build it up and take it forward.